situation for it to work?
Money or volunteers?
Superstructure or something.
How many of you feel like you're working with much more volume of work than you've had before? What do you have to do?
Work harder.
Exactly. Hello. Human capital. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but literally we do work a couple more hours a day and sometimes even more to make sure that we turn this corner. And you know, honestly, like I hate to advocate for this because, you know, I've always wanted to advocate for work-life balance, even though I've never observed it. I want to, you know, hope it for the rest of you. But you know, right now, it's not, for a lot of us, that's not the way it's going to be. We can use volunteers. We should be using volunteers in ways that are much more central to the way our organizations run. But the fact of the matter is, for a while, we're going to be pouring human capital into what it is we do. What that means, really, is that if you don't engage the board in a way that really has them working wisely on behalf of the organization, if you cannot figure out how to pull a committee together to do some high-level investigative work about where your organization needs to go next, what strategy it needs to employ, you're likely going to lose ground during this period. It just, you know, it just requires a lot, our work requires a lot more attention because it's just a lot more complex. Some fields have been much, I've talked about some of the fields that got, you know, that actually have been blessed with more funding. The education has also gotten a lot more funding over this period on, you know, at least in terms of philanthropic funding and investment, but obviously it's still in some disarray. But when you look at organizations like arts organizations across the country, you'll see fields that are really completely having to reorganize themselves. And in a lot of cases, you'll see very valuable organizations going under. And small and large. You see major, you know, major museums selling off part of their exhibits. In Detroit, the Symphony Orchestra is trying to really push their world-class musicians. It's really a world-class symphony in Detroit, trying to push them to take a 30% cut in salary. Now, you know, looking forward, I mean, there's a lot of commentary on this, but looking forward, how likely is it that they're going to retain a world-class symphony? Trying to push the musicians to a 30% cut. Not likely, but you know, the argument of the symphony is we cannot make this business model work this way. And in fact, that's what a lot of us are going to be facing. That in fact, the business models that we've been working with all of this time may have, we may not be evolving as fast as the times evolve. So if some of us have too much building, too much facilities, and it's costing us, if some of us have too much staff, not as many volunteers as we should have, and it's costing us, if some of us are not using technology in the ways that, in all the ways that are really available to us, it's costing us. Every single bit of the way we operate has to be brought up for question right now. Even if your budget at this point is stable, please remember, nothing is going to be the same as we move into the future. You have to bring your best game forward. That means that you have to completely analyze what you're doing, let go of anything that's not working for you, and explore and research the things that other organizations are doing that make them work better. that doesn't mean, it shouldn't mean anything about the quality of your work. Hold on to that. The quality of your work should be absolutely, first and foremost, what it is you pay attention to. So as you're figuring out, what is it that I have to leave behind? What kinds of practices do I have to take up? Everything should be about how can I best serve my community. And so to do that, what do you have to do? To really know how you may best serve your community, what do you have to do? Ask them. Please consult your community. Have them intimately in your decision making. Because if you don't do that, you're likely to make a significant mistake that you may not have the leeway to move back from. Things are, at this point, somewhat frail. People are going to be looking at, philanthropy has been running a kind of a line over the last few years that metrics are more and more important. Now, we all know that, in fact, metrics are extremely important, but so is the way the organization sits in the community, the relationships between people, kind of the development of a collective intelligence and will on the part of the organization. All those things are also, important to us. What we have to do is get much, much better about speaking that in a really beautiful way. And the best way to do that is who knows the best way to do it? What's the best way to get to somebody? Tell them a story. Don't tell them what you're doing and how great it is. Tell them a story. Then tell them a little bit about what you're doing. Then tell them a story. Because we relate as human beings, we relate to stories. We relate to changes. And the best thing we can do is to bring philanthropy into our world and re-excite them with the reality of what it is that's happening in our communities. I'm not going to say this is easy. It's not always easy, but if we could just get out of this kind of, what I've noticed very often when we ask practitioners to write things for us, what we'll get is a lot of PR speak back. And it's infuriating because you know that something significant is happening within the organization, but you give it to people to write, and they write in this language that doesn't have anything to do with real people's experience. And so it will mean nothing to any of our readers, first of all. And, when you're sending something like that also to grant makers, it's not going to mean anything to them. Stories and measurements. These are two things that you have to pay attention to when you're actually like pushing forward an endeavor. Yesterday, now with all of this art stuff going on, and arts institutions, even some very big sophisticated ones in really bad shape, yesterday I visited an arts institution here in the city who is in great shape. And so again, all of this stuff very sensitive to locality, but also very sensitive to the personality of the organization, how the organization is built, what its business plan is, how carefully it pays attention to its constituencies who are in the end responsible for keeping it going. I want to talk to you just a little bit about what it is that we're doing here at the Nonprofit Quarterly. We've been following trends through about 2 years. And during those 2 years, what we found is, again, that there are blackout spots in the country. That some trends don't get picked up by the media because they're not understood. So you'll see a story reported. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have had this experience of seeing a story reported and it's virtually unrecognizable in terms of what actually happened. Very often mainstream media does not